Hey, this is Captain Chris Myers of Central Florida Sight Fishing Charters. Today I'd like to talk about my favorite techniques for using a soft plastic jerkbait. So thanks for tuning in to today's video. Before we get started, I'd like to remind you to please become a subscriber to this channel. Click the little bell notification so you can find out when I put out all my new videos. And if you like this video at the end, take 2 seconds to give it a thumbs up. So one of the most versatile baits that I use is the soft plastic jerkbait. And the one I use most often is this DOA Cal. It's a 5.5 inch bait. I rig it weedless, although you could rig it in other manners with a jig head. But almost always I'm rigging this thing weedless, so it has a nice little pocket where the hook sits, and I use a hook with a weight on it. So down here the bottom is split, so it's real easy to get the hook to go through. The hook pops out easily when we're getting a bite as well. But almost every single spin fishing charter that I do, we're using this bait sometime during the day. It can be used in both freshwater and saltwater, and I use it year-round. So most often I'm using this thing for redfish, sea trout, and bass. So I'm going to show you today how I prefer to work this and what works for me, and some things that I've seen over and over that really don't work so well. The primary way that I use this bait is with an up and down jigging motion. So I want it to pop up, sink back down, pop up, zigzag around, sink back down. Almost all the bites that I get on this lure come as it is sinking down. So for that reason, I want to be real careful that I'm keeping the line between the tip of my rod and my lure tight. If I don't, several things are going to happen. If I twitch this up, drop my rod tip, then reel, I can watch the braid go flying, or my line go flying through the air and want to wrap around the tip, and it's going to constantly cause you to have to put your rod down, unwrap the tip. Two other things occur. One, if I drop the rod tip, I'm reeling up line loose on my spool. It's going to cause a whole bunch of wraps to come off at once and create a wind knot even on a perfectly calm day. And number three, if I drop my tip, now I get the bite. I might not even feel the bite. The fish spits it back out. Or by the time I come way back here to get tight again, it's too late. I can't get the hook set. So the number one tip I could give you about using this and almost every other thing that I use, keep the line tight between the tip of the rod and the lure. Number two tip is I want to twitch this lure and not pull it. As a right-handed angler, I find it much more comfortable to point the rod over my left shoulder, keep it up high, and just a couple little twitches. Twitch, twitch, stop, turn as I go down. Twitch, twitch, stop, turn the handle the second I begin to drop that rod. Do not drop the rod, then turn the handle. So I'll turn around to the other side, get a little different view here. So I'm going to twitch, drop, twitch. You notice my forearm, my elbow, my upper arm really aren't moving. So something I see people do quite often that causes a lot of problems is trying to pull the bait with the rod tip instead of twitching it. So that looks something like this. The rod tip's going to now move 3, 4, 5 feet. Pull, reel, 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 pull. See how far I'm moving the rod tip. It's going from waist level to over my head, so it's moving at least 4 feet through the air instead of a couple inches like this one does. So now this is going to remain pretty much in the same location. Twitch, twitch, reel, twitch, twitch, reel, twitch, twitch. So my rod tip there has only moved a foot or so. Get tons of action with just a little twitch of that rod tip. It makes the bait hop up, sink down nicely. We don't want it to just pull across straight, then fall. Not only do I not get near as many bites with that action, I see it cause tons of problems with knots on your spool, line wrapped around the tip, and missed bites. So a full sequence, what this thing looks like, if I'm just blind casting for as much distance as I can get, send it way out. As soon as it hits, I'm stopping the line, flicking the bail closed by hand, rod tip up high, a couple twitches, twitch, twitch, pause, waiting for that bite all the way down. The deeper the water, the longer and slower I have to go down. Might twitch it 2-3 times. Up. Real shallow water, which is very common around here in Florida fishing. Twitch, twitch, boom. Twitch, twitch, boom. Twitch, twitch, reel. Twitch, twitch. So I'm getting a rhythm. It's only hopping up in a foot or two of water. If I'm sight fishing with this lure, I'm throwing the fish that I see. I don't want to land on them. I land 5-10 feet past them, get it up to where they're at, drop it down, let it sink to the bottom. See how little bit this tip is moving. If I have a fish, my lure is a foot away from that fish, and I pull that rod tip 4 feet, I've zipped it right past him. If he didn't grab it right away, he's never going to see it because he's busy looking right there in front of him. So I want that thing just hopping along the bottom in front of that fish for as long as I can keep it there. Little twitches give me a lot more time in front of that fish. One final thing I can do with this, although I don't do it a lot, but you can certainly use it for this, is as a topwater surface bait. Here in Central Florida, we get lots of grass on the surface. On places where you bass fish, there may be a lot of grass or lily pads or other obstructions that you need a weedless bait for. The first thing we can do is add a plastic DOA chug head on here, which makes a little cupped face so it pops water. But even with this weighted hook, if I work this the same way I would work a topwater side to side walk the dog lure, I can get that same surface action. I just have to constantly turn the handle, and I'm just twitching that rod tip side to side. I can make it go slowly for bigger twitches, but that thing will scoot right along the surface just like a topwater bait will. I can make it zigzag, you can pull it straight, you can make a little V-wake. You can get topwater bites on this lure as well. So it's an extremely versatile lure. I highly recommend you have one with you anytime you're fishing for species in relatively shallow water. Get you some plastic jerk baits. You can check out my videos on what my favorite colors are for redfish and trout, and see if you're not catching more fish when you learn how to use a jerk bait. Hope you enjoyed today's fishing tip. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. Really appreciate it if you become a subscriber to my channel as well. And if you're going to be down here in the Central Florida area visiting Orlando, Disney, Daytona Beach, Cocoa Beach, or anywhere else around, please be sure to give me a call. We'll go out on a fishing charter.